aliens thought. They'd get help. Deathworlders sent a fleet of doom. The council chamber floated in space above the planet Praxis Prime. Inside, 12 alien species sat around a large circular table. They looked scared. Very scared. High Chancellor Thelmon stood at the center. His blue skin had turned pale. His forearms trembled as he activated the holographic display. Red markers covered the star map, showing enemy positions. The red was spreading fast. "They have taken another system," Thelmon said quietly. "The Velkari swarm consumed the mining colonies in Sector 7. 3 billion souls, all gone in 2 weeks." The other council members made sounds of distress. Some had tears. Others just stared at the map in horror. "How many systems have we lost now?" asked Representative Dalma, her voice barely a whisper. 17, Thelmon replied. 17 systems in 4 months. Our fleets cannot stop them. Our weapons barely scratch their ships. They are too many, too strong, too hungry. The council chamber fell silent. For 300 years, the Praxis Federation had lived in peace. They built schools, not armies. They studied art, not war. They believed all conflicts could be solved with words and understanding. Now they were dying because of that belief. "We must surrender," said Elder Corvan. "Perhaps they will show mercy." "They show no mercy," Thelmon said firmly. "The Velkari do not negotiate. They do not compromise. They consume. Every world they take, they strip of resources. Every population they find, they enslave or eat. This is not a war we can talk our way out of." "Then what do we do?" Dalma asked. "We have no weapons that can hurt them. Our people do not know how to fight. We are scholars, artists, farmers, not soldiers." Thelmon's expression changed. He looked almost ashamed. "There is one option, an old option, one we swore never to use." He pressed a button. The star map changed. Now it showed a different sector of space, far away from the Praxis Federation. A small yellow star with several planets. One planet was marked in green. "This is the Sol system," Thelmon explained. "The third planet is called Earth. It is classified as a Class 12 death world." Several council members gasped. One fainted. "You cannot be serious," Elder Corvan said. "A death world? You want to contact a death world?" "What choice do we have?" Thelmon shot back. "Every other advanced civilization is too far away or refuses to help. The Velkari will reach our core worlds in 3 months. We will all be dead in 6. "But Deathworlders are dangerous," Dalma protested. "The classification exists for a reason. Worlds with crushing gravity, violent weather, aggressive predators. Any species that evolves on such worlds becomes adapted to violence and hardship." "Exactly," Thelmon said. "We need someone who understands violence, someone who can fight." "The data on Earth is 200 years old," Corvan said, reading from his tablet. "It says they were primitive then. Stone tools and tribal warfare. They might not even have space travel yet." "Or they might have advanced rapidly," Thelmon countered. "Deathworld species often develop technology quickly. They have to survive their own planets." The council argued for an hour. Finally, they voted. 8 agreed to send the signal. 4 did not. It was enough. Thelmon activated the ancient beacon. It had been found in old ruins, left behind by a civilization that died before the Praxis Federation even existed. The beacon could send messages across vast distances, faster than any ship. "This is High Chancellor Thelmon of the Praxis Federation," he spoke into the device. "We are under attack. The Velkari swarm is destroying our worlds. We cannot fight them. We have no military, no weapons, no defense. If anyone receives this message, if anyone can help, please. We are dying. We have 200 billion souls across 40 systems. Soon, we will have none." He sent the message toward Earth. Then they waited. 3 days passed, no response. The Velkari took another colony. 5 days. Still nothing. Another system fell. The council began to lose hope. On the 7th day, a ship appeared near Praxis Prime. It was small and elegant. Not a warship, but a diplomatic vessel. The Praxis defense fleet nearly shot it down in panic, before they realized it was responding to their beacon. The ship requested permission to dock at the council station. Thelmon granted it immediately. An hour later, a human walked into the council chamber. Ambassador Yuna Kim was shorter than most council members. She had dark hair tied back in a simple style and wore a neat gray uniform. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent. She carried a small datapad and nothing else. "High Chancellor," she said, her voice calm and professional. "I am Ambassador Yuna Kim, representing Earth's unified government. We received your distress call. Please explain your situation." Thelmon felt disappointed. Just one person? One small ship? No weapons, no soldiers, no help? But he explained anyway. He showed her the star maps. He played recordings of Valkyrie attacks. He shared data on their weapons, their ships, their tactics. Ambassador Yuna listened carefully. She took notes. She asked questions. Her questions were strange, very specific, very technical. "What is the average mass of a Valkyrie warship?" she asked. "Why does that matter?" Dalma replied. "Please, just answer." "Roughly 2 million tons." "What kind of weapons do they use?" "Biological plasma cannons and swarm drones." "Effective range?" "About 50,000 kilometers." "Do they have faster-than-light communication between ships?" We do not know." Ambassador Yuna nodded, typing notes. She asked about fleet formations, supply lines, command structures. Things the peaceful Praxis Federation had barely considered. After 2 hours, she closed her datapad. "Thank you, High Chancellor. I will relay this information to Earth's Unified Defense Command. You should receive a response within 12 hours. "That is all?" Thelmon asked. "No promises? No offers of refugee assistance?" "I am not authorized to make military commitments," Yuna said simply. "That decision belongs to the Defense Command. But I will recommend they prioritize this situation." She left. The council sat in stunned silence. "She asked about weapons ranges and fleet tactics," Dalma said slowly. "Why would a diplomatic ambassador need to know such things?" Thelmon felt something strange, a tiny spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, Deathworlders thought differently than peaceful species. 10 hours later, Ambassador Yuna's message arrived. Thelmon read it aloud to the council. "Fleet en route. Arrival in 48 hours. Recommends civilian evacuation from contested zones. Signed, Fleet Admiral Dae-Jung Lee, 1st Contact Battle Group." "Battle group?" Korvan whispered. "What is a battle group?" "I think," Thelmon said slowly, "we are about to find out what Deathworlders consider help." Aliens. Thought they'd get help. Deathworlders sent a fleet of doom. 48 hours felt like forever. High Chancellor Thelmon barely slept. He stood in the observation deck, staring at the stars, wondering what kind of help Earth would send. Maybe a hospital ship. Maybe some supply vessels with food and medicine. Maybe nothing at all. The Praxis Defense Fleet, what little remained of it, was on high alert. 30 small ships spread across the system. They had sensors active, watching for both the Valkyrie and the promised human fleet. "Contact!" the sensor officer shouted, multiple signatures dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the system edge. Thelmon rushed to the command center. "How many ships? Is it the Valkyrie?" The sensor officer stared at his screen. His face went pale. "Sir, I am reading 87 distinct contacts." "No, wait. 91. No, 97. The computer keeps updating. They are all human ships." 97. Thelmon could not believe it. "Are you certain? The signatures match the diplomatic vessel from earlier. But sir, these ships they are enormous. Some of them are larger than our entire space station." The tactical display updated. Thelmon saw the human fleet positions and felt his legs go weak. This was not a rescue mission. This was an invasion force. The largest ship sat in the center of the formation. The computer identified it as the flagship. Around it, dozens of massive vessels formed defensive screens. Smaller ships darted between the larger ones like fish in a school. The formation was perfect, precise, military. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. "The flagship is hailing us." Put it on screen, Thelmon ordered. The view screen activated. A human male appeared. He wore a dark blue uniform with sharp creases. Metals covered his chest. His hair was gray at the temples. His expression was calm and professional, almost bored. High Chancellor Thelmon, the human said. I am Fleet Admiral Dae-Jung Lee, commander of the First Contact Battle Group. We received your distress call. Where is the enemy? Thelmon struggled to find words. This human looked at war like it was a normal workday. Admiral Lee, we did not expect such a large force. We asked for humanitarian aid, for refugee assistance, for... You asked for help, Admiral Lee interrupted. You said you were under attack. You said the Valkyrie swarm was destroying your worlds. You said you could not fight them. That sounds like a military problem to me. So I brought a military solution. But we are a peaceful federation, Dalma said, moving into view of the screen. We do not believe in violence. We do not wage war. We sought assistance in evacuating our people. Perhaps diplomatic intervention with the Valkyrie. Admiral Lee's expression did not change. Representative, with respect, you cannot negotiate with an enemy that wants you dead. The Valkyrie have taken 17 of your systems. They have killed or enslaved billions of your people. They will not stop because you ask nicely. Another human appeared on the screen, a woman with short hair and a captain's insignia. Admiral, reconnaissance drones have completed their sweep. I have located Valkyrie forward positions. Report, Captain Hana, Admiral Lee said. 17 Valkyrie warships currently harvesting a mining colony in the outer system. Sector 12, 4th orbital. They appear to be stripping the asteroids for resources. No indication they have detected our arrival. Excellent. Prepare Strike Group 3 for engagement. I want those ships neutralized within the hour. Yes, sir. Thelmon felt panic rising. Admiral Lee, wait. Perhaps we should try to communicate with them first. Maybe we can... High Chancellor, Admiral Lee said, his voice patient but firm. You sent a distress call because you were dying. You activated an ancient beacon because you had no other options. You called us because you needed someone who could fight. Now you have us. Let us do what you cannot. The screen showed another human, a young male with tactical displays behind him. Admiral, the Valkyrie vessels are massive. Each one is roughly 2 million tons. Our intelligence indicates they carry approximately 4,000 combat drones each. Thank you, Lieutenant Jinsu. Captain Hana, adjust your approach accordingly. Use the Wolverine formation. Hit them fast and hard. I want overwhelming force. Understood, Admiral. The transmission shifted to show part of the human fleet breaking away. 20 ships accelerated toward the outer system. They moved with incredible speed and precision. Admiral, Thelmon tried again, your ships are outnumbered. The Valkyrie have 17 warships in that sector. You are sending 20 ships against them. That is not enough. Admiral Lee looked at him with something that might have been amusement. High Chancellor, one of our destroyers could handle this alone. I am sending 20 ships because I want to send a message. Another human appeared, this one a female with doctor's insignia. Admiral, Dr. Bo-Ranam here. Perhaps I should explain to the Chancellor. He does not understand our context. Go ahead, Doctor. Dr. Bora turned to face the screen directly. High Chancellor, I am a xenobiologist and cultural liaison. I studied your species and your federation before we came. You evolved on a world with light gravity and peaceful ecosystems. Your planet has gentle weather and few natural predators. You developed civilization without significant conflict. This shaped your culture and philosophy. Yes, Thelmon agreed. We are fortunate to come from such a world. Earth is not such a world, Dr. Bora continued. Earth has gravity 1.7 times stronger than your homeworld. Our atmosphere contains highly reactive oxygen. Our weather produces storms that can level cities. Our oceans have crushing pressures and violent currents. Our biosphere is filled with predators that hunt other predators. For 4 billion years, life on Earth had one rule: adapt or die. We adapted, Admiral Lee added quietly. Humanity spent 200,000 years fighting to survive on a world that tried to kill us every single day, Dr. Bora explained. We developed tools, weapons, tactics, strategy. We learned to work together because alone, we died. We learned to fight because everything on our world was fighting. When we finally reached space, we brought all those lessons with us. Thelmon finally understood. They had called for help from a species that was born into warfare, a species that saw violence not as a last resort, but as a natural part of existence. The Velkari think they are apex predators, Admiral Lee said. They have conquered 40 systems. They have never met serious resistance. Today they learn what happens when predators meet something from Earth. The tactical display showed the human strike force reaching the outer system. The Velkari warships were huge, biological vessels covered in armor and weapons. They looked terrifying. The human ships looked small by comparison, but they moved like hunting wolves. Contact in 30 seconds, Captain Hana's voice reported. All ships ready. Weapons hot. Fighters launching. Fighters? Thelmon asked. What are fighters? Small, fast attack craft, Lieutenant Jinsu explained. Piloted by individual humans. Very maneuverable. The view screen split to show the battle space. Hundreds of tiny ships poured from the human carriers. They formed into groups and accelerated toward the Velkari vessels at impossible speeds. The Velkari ships detected them. They opened fire with their plasma weapons. They released their combat drones, thousands of them, filling space with hostile targets. Here we go, Admiral Lee said calmly. The battle began, and High Chancellor Thelmon realized that humans did not know how to do anything small. When they offered help, they brought overwhelming force. When they fought to win completely. The galaxy was about to learn what Deathworlders meant by help. Aliens thought they'd get help. Deathworlders sent a fleet of doom. The Velkari detected the approaching human fighters and responded with confidence. They had fought dozens of species. They had never lost. These small craft would die like all the others. The Velkari command ship broadcast a message in standard galactic language. Unknown vessels. You have entered Velkari territory. Surrender your ships and prepare to be processed. Resistance is futile. The swarm always wins. High Chancellor Thelmon watched the tactical display, expecting the humans to at least respond to the message. They did not. The fighters kept coming, silent and fast. They are not answering, Dalma said nervously. Why do they not answer? Because talking is over, Admiral Lee replied from his position on the flagship. Captain Hana, you may engage. With pleasure, Admiral. The human fighters entered weapons range. The Velkari ships opened fire. Plasma bolts filled the space between the two forces. The Praxis observers watched in horror, certain the small human craft would be destroyed instantly. Instead, the fighters scattered. They moved in ways that seemed impossible. They dodged, rolled, and weaved through the plasma fire. Not a single fighter was hit. How are they doing that? Thelmon gasped. Human reaction time, Dr. Bora explained. Earth's gravity is strong. Our nervous systems evolved to process information quickly so we could react to predators. Our pilots can think and move faster than most species. The fighters reached the Velkari drone swarms. Thousands of biological drones filled space, each one the size of a small vehicle, armed with cutting tools and acid sprayers. They swarmed toward the human fighters like angry insects. Wing Commander Sung Ho led the first squadron. His voice came over the communication channel, calm and professional. Gold Squadron, break by pairs. Use formation delta, watch your spacing. The fighters split into groups of two. They dove into the drone swarms. Their weapons fired. Short bursts of energy and kinetic rounds. Drones exploded by the dozens, by the hundreds. The Velkari had never seen anything like this. Their drones were supposed to overwhelm enemies with numbers. But these human pilots treated the swarm like it was nothing. They flew through the densest parts of the drone clouds, weapons firing continuously, never slowing down. They are not afraid, Dalma whispered. Why are they not afraid? Because Earth taught them not to be, Admiral Lee said. Fear is useful for survival. But humans learn to fight through fear, to use it, to control it. One Velkari ship released more drones, doubling the number in space. 10,000 drones now swarmed the fighters. Surely this would overwhelm them. Wing Commander Sung Ho's response was simple. All squadrons, weapons free. Show them what we brought. The human fighters activated different weapons. Missiles launched from their wings, each one tracking multiple targets. The missiles split apart in flight, becoming dozens of smaller warheads. They found drones and destroyed them in clusters. In 3 minutes, the drone swarm was cut in half. In 5 minutes, it was gone. Thousands of Valkyrie combat drones destroyed by a few hundred human fighters. The Valkyrie warships changed tactics. They turned their main plasma cannons toward the fighters. These weapons were designed to destroy other warships. They would vaporize small craft easily. But the human fighters were no longer there. They had already moved, circling around the Valkyrie ships at high speed. Blue Squadron, attack run on Target 1, Sung-Ho ordered. Red Squadron, take Target 2. Gold Squadron with me on Target 3. The fighters attacked. They focused their fire on specific points on the Valkyrie ships, targeting weapon systems and engines. The biological armor that protected the Valkyrie vessels started to fail. Sections exploded. Plasma cannons went dark. Impossible, the Valkyrie commander broadcast. Our ships are unbreakable. Our armor regenerates. You cannot harm us. Captain Hana's voice responded for the first time. Your armor regenerates against energy weapons and biological attacks, but you have never fought kinetic weapons traveling at relativistic speeds. Let me show you. The human dreadnought, Indomitable, fired a single shot. The railgun projectile was a simple piece of metal, but it traveled at a significant fraction of light speed. It hit the largest Valkyrie command ship dead center. The impact was devastating. The kinetic energy transferred into the biological ship, creating a shockwave that tore through its internal structure. The ship broke apart from the inside out. Atmosphere vented. Thousands of Valkyrie died instantly. The ship's two halves drifted apart, dead in space. Silence filled the communication channels. Everyone watched the view screen in shock. One shot, Thelmon said quietly. One shot destroyed their command ship. That ship had 2 million tons of mass, Admiral Lee said. Captain Hana hit it with a projectile carrying the kinetic energy of a small nuclear weapon. Mass times velocity equals force. Basic physics. The remaining Valkyrie ships began to retreat. They had never retreated before, but they had never faced an enemy like this. Should we pursue? Captain Hana asked. Negative, Admiral Lee replied. Let them run. Let them tell their leaders what they saw here today. But 3 Valkyrie ships did not retreat. They changed course and headed directly toward the Praxis space station. They would ram the station, killing everyone aboard. A final act of spite. Interceptors launching, Captain Hana reported. Marines deploying. Marines? Thelmon asked in confusion. What are Marines? Ground soldiers trained to fight in space, Lieutenant Jinsu explained. They will board the Valkyrie ships and stop them. Board them. But the Valkyrie have thousands of warriors on each ship. So do we. Small assault craft launched from human ships. They caught up to the Valkyrie vessels and attached to their hulls. Breaching charges exploded. Holes appeared in the biological armor. Sergeant Mi-sun-oh led the first boarding team. She and 50 Marines entered the Valkyrie ship through the breach. They wore heavy armor and carried automatic weapons. The Valkyrie warriors were waiting. They were 3 meters tall, covered in natural armor, with 4 arms that ended in blade-like claws. They had terrorized dozens of species. They roared and charged the humans. The Marines opened fire. The sound of gunfire echoed through the ship. Valkyrie warriors fell. More came. More died. Contact heavy, Sergeant Mi-sun reported calmly. Advancing to the bridge. Resistance is strong but manageable. Manageable? Dalma said in disbelief. They are fighting thousands of Valkyrie warriors. Valkyrie evolved on a low-gravity world, Dr. Bora explained. They are strong there. But human Marines train in Earth's crushing gravity. They wear armor that would cripple most species. They carry weapons that fire hundreds of rounds per minute. To them, this is just another day at work. The tactical feed showed the Marine advance. They moved through the Valkyrie ship like an unstoppable force. Valkyrie warriors tried to ambush them. The Marines had sensors that saw through walls. Valkyrie tried to flank them. The Marines worked in teams that covered every angle. 20 minutes after boarding, Sergeant Meesun reached the bridge. Bridge secured, she reported. Ship is ours. Disabling engines now. The three Valkyrie ships that had tried to ram the station went dead in space. Human boarding teams secured them. The remaining Valkyrie survivors surrendered. The battle was over. 11 minutes of space combat. 20 minutes of boarding action. 17 Valkyrie warships either destroyed or captured. Human casualties. 3 fighters damaged, 0 deaths. Admiral Lee opened a communication channel. He broadcast it toward Valkyrie space, where their main fleet was gathered. This is Fleet Admiral Daejung Lee of Earth's Unified Defense Command. You attacked the Praxis Federation. They are now under our protection. If you return to this region of space, we will destroy you. This is your only warning. You have entered the wrong neighborhood. He closed the channel and turned to Thelmon's image on the view screen. High Chancellor, your outer system is secure. My fleet will remain on station until the Valkyrie threat is eliminated. Do you have any other enemy positions you want us to address? Thelmon could not speak. He had asked for help. He had expected food, medicine, perhaps shelter. Instead, Earth sent warriors who fought like the universe itself was their battlefield. These were Deathworlders. And they had just changed everything. Aliens. Thought they'd get help. Deathworlders sent a fleet of doom. The Valkyrie swarm did not take defeat well. They had conquered 40 systems over 20 years. No one had ever beaten them in battle. No one had ever made them retreat. The loss at Praxis Prime was impossible. It was shameful. It demanded revenge. The Swarm Lords gathered their main fleet. 200 warships, 1 million warrior drones, every combat vessel they had. They would crush these humans and make an example of them. They would show the galaxy that the swarm was still supreme. High Chancellor Thelmon received the intelligence reports with growing fear. The Valkyrie main fleet was coming. It was 10 times larger than the force that had just been defeated. Admiral Lee, Thelmon said during the emergency communication, the Valkyrie are returning with everything they have. 200 ships. You should retreat. Save your fleet. We are grateful for what you have done, but this is too much. Admiral Lee sat in his command chair, reviewing tactical displays. He looked calm. Too calm. High Chancellor, thank you for the intelligence. We will handle it. But Admiral, they outnumber you more than 2 to 1. Yes, Admiral Lee agreed. That does give them an advantage in total mass. However, wars are not won by mass alone. Captain Hana, what is the status of our fleet? Captain Hana appeared on the screen. All ships operational, Admiral. Repairs complete on the 3 damaged fighters. Ammunition at 92%. Crew morale is high. Excellent. Prepare to split the fleet. What? Thelmon shouted, losing his diplomatic composure. You want to split your fleet? When facing an enemy that already outnumbers you? Yes, Admiral Lee said simply. Commander Taewan will take Strike Force Beta and jump to Valkyrie space. He will begin liberation operations on occupied worlds. I will take Strike Force Alpha and engage their main fleet here. This is madness, Delma said. You are dividing your forces in the face of overwhelming numbers. This violates every principle of military strategy. Admiral Lee looked at her with patient eyes. Representative, your people study peaceful strategies. We study war. And one of the first lessons of human warfare is this. The best defense is a good offense. If we wait here for them to attack, we fight on their terms. If we attack their occupied worlds, they must split their attention. But you will be outnumbered 3 to 1, Thelmon protested. Actually 4 to 1, Lieutenant Jinsu corrected. But numbers are not everything. We have better technology, better training, better tactics, and better motivation. What motivation? Dalma asked. Admiral Lee's expression hardened. Commander Taewan's scouts have been surveying the occupied worlds. Dr. Bora, please share what we found. Dr. Bora appeared on screen. Her face looked tired and sad. High Chancellor, the Valkyrie are not just conquering species. They are harvesting them. The populations on occupied worlds are being used as raw materials. They are being processed, consumed. The council chamber fell silent. The horror of what she said took time to sink in. Billions of people, Dr. Bora continued quietly. broken down into biological components, fed to the swarm. We found processing facilities on 3 worlds. We found things I cannot describe in detail, things that made our soldiers sick. Admiral Lee's voice was cold. This stopped being a defensive war. This is now an extermination mission. The Velkari are not conquerors. They are not even invaders. They are a plague, and we will cure it. The human fleet split as planned. Commander Taiwan took 44 ships and jumped to Velkari space. Admiral Lee kept 43 ships and prepared for battle. The Velkari main fleet arrived 3 days later. 200 massive biological warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and spread across the system. Their commander broadcast a message full of threats and promises of pain. Admiral Lee's response was simple. Your move. The Velkari attacked. They came in a massive wave, expecting to overwhelm the humans with sheer numbers. They expected the humans to panic, to break formation, to scatter. Instead, the human fleet advanced to meet them. All ships, Thermopylae formation, Admiral Lee ordered. Make them come through us. Make every meter of space cost them. The human ships formed a defensive wall. Carriers in the back, launching fighters, cruisers and destroyers in the middle, providing fire support, dreadnoughts in front, absorbing damage and dealing it back. The battle was nothing like the first fight. This was not a quick skirmish. This was total war. The Velkari ships fired plasma weapons continuously. Human point defense systems shot down most of the incoming fire. What got through hit armor designed to withstand incredible punishment. The Indomitable took dozens of plasma hits. Her shields glowed white-hot. Her armor melted in places. But Captain Hana kept her ship in formation, firing railgun after railgun shot into the enemy fleet. Hull breach on Deck 7, her damage control officer reported. Fire on Deck 12. Casualties in Section 9. Seal the breaches. Route around the damage. Keep firing, Captain Hana ordered. Her ship was hurt but not broken. The battle raged for hours. Human ships took damage. Some were heavily damaged, but they did not retreat. They did not break. They stood their ground and fought. Meanwhile, in Velkari space, Commander Taiwan's Liberation Fleet was busy. They jumped from system to system, finding occupied worlds and attacking the Velkari occupation forces. Colonel Yunji Huang led the ground assault on the third liberated world. Her Marines dropped from orbit in armored pods. They landed near the processing facilities and began their attack. The Velkari warriors defending the facility fought hard. But human Marines fought harder. They moved through the facility room by room, freeing prisoners and killing every Velkari they found. No mercy, Colonel Unji ordered. Not after what they have done. Not after what we have seen. The freed prisoners were from a dozen different species. They were starving, injured, and traumatized. When they saw the human soldiers, they expected more pain. Instead, they found something different. Medic So Young Park set up a field hospital immediately. She worked 48 hours straight, treating alien wounded with human medicine. The freed prisoners had never experienced such care from warriors. Warriors were supposed to kill, not heal. You are soldiers, one freed prisoner said to So Young. Why do you help us? So Young looked tired, but determined. Because on Earth, we learned that strength without compassion is just cruelty. We are strong, so we can protect those who cannot protect themselves. Civilian advisor Ji Woo Lee organized food distribution, temporary shelter, and transport for the freed populations. The humans had brought supplies not just for war, but for the aftermath of war. Back at Praxis Prime, the battle continued. The Velkari fleet was being ground down, ship by ship. They had the numbers, but humans had the skill and determination. When the Indomitable took critical damage to her engines, Captain Hannah made a decision. All crew, evacuate to escape pods. Abandon ship protocol. Captain, what are you doing? Admiral Lee demanded. Something useful, Hana replied. She aimed her dying ship at the largest Velkari carrier. For Earth. The Indomitable rammed the carrier at full speed. Both ships exploded in a massive fireball. Captain Hana's crew was already safely away in escape pods. The Velkari carrier and the 3,000 warriors aboard were not so lucky. Admiral Lee watched from his flagship. Pick up Captain Hana and her crew. Give them new assignments. The battle continues. By the end of the second day, the Velkari had lost 60 ships. The humans had lost 8. The math was not working in the Velkari's favor. Intelligence Officer Yong-Ho Kim had been broadcasting messages toward the remaining Velkari ships. Messages showing what happened to their occupied worlds. Messages showing their forces being defeated everywhere. Messages designed to break their morale. It worked. On the third day, 30 Velkari ships broke formation and retreated. Then 50 more, then the rest. The Velkari main fleet was destroyed or scattered. Their occupation forces were defeated. Their harvesting facilities were burning. In 3 weeks, the swarm had lost everything they had built over 20 years, and the humans were still coming. Aliens. Thought they'd get help. Deathworlders sent a fleet of doom. 3 months after the first human ship arrived at Praxis Prime, the war ended. Not with a final battle, but with a surrender. The Velkari swarm lords gathered in their throne world's great chamber. They had never known defeat. Now they knew nothing but defeat. Their fleet was destroyed. Their occupied worlds were freed. Their warriors were dead or captured. The humans had broken them completely. Commander Taewan's ship appeared in orbit above their throne world. He did not attack. He simply broadcast a message. Velkari Swarm. This is Commander Taewan Park of Earth's Unified Defense Command. You have lost this war. Every battle, every world, every ship. You have 3 options. 1. Continue fighting and be exterminated. 2. Flee into deep space and never return. 3. Surrender and accept our terms. You have 24 hours to decide, the Swarm Lords argued. Some wanted to fight to the last warrior. Some wanted to flee. But the wisest among them knew the truth. Humans had shown them mercy by offering terms. That mercy would not last if they refused. They surrendered. Commander Taewan met with them on their throne world. He brought only a small escort of Marines, led by Sergeant Misun-O. The Velkari warriors in the throne room outnumbered them 50 to 1, but no one attacked. They had learned what happened when you fought humans. These are Earth's terms, Commander Taewan said, his voice firm. 1. You will retreat to your home system. 2. You will dismantle your fleet down to 10 defensive vessels. 3. You will release all prisoners and provide reparations to their species. 4. You will allow human monitoring stations in your system. 5. You will never expand beyond your home system again. And if we refuse, one swarm lord asked. Commander Taewan's expression did not change. Then we will return with more ships. We will burn every Velkari world to ash. We will hunt every Velkari vessel through the galaxy. We will not stop until your entire species is extinct. Your choice. The swarm lords looked at him and saw no bluff. Humans meant what they said. We accept your terms, the eldest swarm lord said quietly. The occupation of Velkari space began immediately. Human ships positioned themselves around the throne world. Engineer Jae-Won Choi oversaw the dismantling of the Velkari fleet. Each ship was carefully taken apart, its weapons disabled, its biology studied. Major Hyun-Woo Shin led special operations teams that located hidden weapons caches and secret research facilities. The Velkari had been developing new weapons, new horrors. All of it was destroyed or taken by humans for study. The freed populations from occupied worlds were returned home. The Praxis Federation sent ships to help with the resettlement. They brought food, medicine, and supplies. But they also brought something else. Gratitude. High Chancellor Thelmon stood in the council chamber, now filled with representatives from 30 species that had been freed from Velkari occupation. He looked at Ambassador Yuna Kim, who had returned to oversee diplomatic relations. Ambassador, Thelmon said, on behalf of all the free peoples of this region, I want to say thank you. We asked for help. You sent warriors. We feared violence. You brought liberation. We expected cruelty. You showed compassion. We do not understand how your people balance such things. Yuna smiled slightly. Perhaps Dr. Bora can explain better than I can. Dr. Bo-Ra Nam stepped forward. She had been working with the freed populations, studying their cultures, helping them recover. She looked tired but satisfied. "Hi, Chancellor," Bo-Ra said. "You asked me once how humans can be so good at violence while also showing such compassion. I think I understand now. Earth taught us that survival requires both." "I do not understand," Dalma said. "Your species evolved on gentle worlds," Bo-Ra explained. "You never needed to fight. You could afford to be purely peaceful. But humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us constantly. We had to fight. We had to be violent. Not because we wanted to, but because we had no choice." She walked to the large window showing the stars. "But we also learned that survival requires cooperation. A single human cannot survive Earth's dangers. But a group of humans working together, supporting each other, protecting each other, that group can survive anything. We learned to be warriors and caretakers at the same time. The strong exist to protect the weak," Admiral Lee added, joining the conversation via viewscreen from his flagship. "That is the lesson Earth taught us. We have strength, so we use it for those who do not." Captain Hana, recovered from her injuries and now commanding a new dreadnought called the Unbowed, appeared on another screen. "Our strength is not for conquest, it is for protection. That is what makes us different from the Velkari." Over the following months, the Praxis Federation began to change. They remained peaceful, but they were no longer helpless. Human advisors taught them basic defense strategies, not to make them warriors, but to give them the ability to protect themselves. Wing Commander Sung Ho established a flight training academy. He taught pilots from a dozen species how to fly fighters, how to think tactically, how to coordinate in battle. The alien pilots would never match human reflexes, but they learned enough to defend their homes. The Galactic Council, learning about humanity's actions, sent representatives to meet with Earth's government. They had questions. Many questions. How could one species be so advanced in warfare? Why did humans have such powerful weapons? Were humans planning to conquer the galaxy like the Velkari tried to do? Ambassador Yuna met with them in the rebuilt council chamber. She listened to their concerns patiently, then responded. "We do not want to conquer anyone," she said simply. "We want to explore. We want to learn. We want to make friends. But we learned long ago that the galaxy is not always kind. There are species like the Velkari out there. Species that see kindness as weakness. Species that take what they want by force." "So you became more dangerous than them?" one counselor asked. "No," Yuna replied. "We became strong enough to stop them. There is a difference. The Velkari use their strength to oppress. We use our strength to protect. They fought for conquest. We fight for justice." The council was not entirely convinced, but they could not argue with results. The Velkari swarm was stopped. Billions of lives were saved. 30 systems were freed. And the humans asked for nothing in return except friendship and cooperation. The Praxis Federation formally joined the Terran Alliance, Earth's growing network of allied species. Other species, seeing what humans had done, began to ask questions about joining as well. Word spread through the galaxy. Stories about the Deathworlders who brought fleets of doom but used them to save people. Stories about warriors who were also healers. Stories about a species that had learned violence on their harsh world, but chose to use that knowledge to protect others. Admiral Lee stood on the bridge of his flagship, preparing to return to Earth. The first contact battle group had been away for 5 months. It was time to go home. "Admiral," Lieutenant Jinsu said, "we are receiving new transmissions. 3 more species are requesting Earth's assistance with various threats. Pirates, raiders, territorial disputes." Admiral Lee sighed. "Forward the request to Earth Command. They will decide which situations require our attention." "You sound tired, Admiral," Captain Hana said from her own ship. "I am," Admiral Lee admitted. "But this is the job we signed up for. The galaxy needed someone who could fight, so we fight. But we fight for the right reasons." High Chancellor Thelmon sent a final message to the departing human fleet. "Thank you. For everything. We asked for help. You gave us hope." Admiral Lee smiled at the message. "Tell the Chancellor that Earth will always answer when good people call for help. That is what Deathworlders do." The human fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel and vanished from the Praxis system. But they left behind monitoring stations, trade agreements, defensive pacts, and most importantly, they left behind a promise. If you need help, call the humans. They will send a fleet. Not to conquer, not to control, but to protect. The galaxy had new guardians. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the universe would never be the same.